Lesnar's next title defense was against a beast. Cain Velasquez, the undefeated top contender and one of my favorite fighters. Let me know if you want a rise and fall video about him. Cain Ramirez Velasquez, born to Efrain and Isabel Velasquez in Salinas, California. Efrain had moved to the United States from Sonora, Mexico as an undocumented immigrant where he met Isabel. Born in the United States, they started a relationship and later got married, which allowed Efrain to obtain United States citizenship. Cain grew up in Yuma, Arizona, and graduated from Kofa High School. He competed in wrestling for 4 years, achieving a 110-10 record. After high school, he continued wrestling, winning a national championship and placing 5th in the country in 2005 and 4th in 2006. He graduated that year and started his mixed martial arts career, joining the renowned American Kickboxing Academy gym. On October 7, 2006, he debuted against Jesse Fuyarczyk in Strikeforce, winning by technical knockout in round 1. He then faced the undefeated Jeremiah Constant in Bodog fight, winning by technical knockout also in the first round. With these fights, his big break came, debuting in UFC 83 against Brad Morris and winning by technical knockout in the first round. In his next fight, Velasquez defeated Jacob Ryan at UFC Fight Night 14 by technical knockout in the first round. Velasquez's next fight was at UFC 99 against the former heavyweight kickboxing champion and beast Jake Congo, whom he dominated once again. He landed 251 strikes and won the fight by unanimous decision. His next opponent was expected to be Shane Carwin, and the winner would likely challenge for the UFC Heavyweight Championship held by Brock Lesnar. However, that fight was scrapped and instead, Velasquez was told he would fight UFC newcomer Ben Rothwell, defeating him by technical knockout in the second round. He then faced Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, former Pride and interim UFC heavyweight champion and professional motivator in the UFC, 110 in the year 2010. Going into the fight, some commentators predicted that Nogueira would take the victory due to an alleged lack of power in Velasquez's striking. Why did they say this? It's obvious that you're very dumb. If you weren't so dumb, you wouldn't say so many dumb things. Velasquez defeated Nogueira by knockout in the first round, once again earning knockout of the night honors and the bonus. With his victory over Nogueira, Velasquez earned a shot at the UFC Heavyweight Championship against the then-champion Brock Lesnar at UFC 121. And you're not going to guess? He defeated Lesnar by technical knockout in the first round, becoming the UFC Heavyweight Champion. He injured his rotator cuff and needed surgery. Although he made his first title defense against the man who would become his arch-rival in the sport, Junior Dos Santos and Velasquez were knocked out at 4 seconds into the first round, suffering his first defeat and losing his title. Later, it was revealed that Dos Santos had a knee injury and received a cortisone injection before the fight. This was followed by a revelation that Velasquez had re-injured his rotator cuff about a week before the fight. Velasquez was set to face Frank Mir on May 26, 2012 as his career progressed. However, Mir was promoted to face Junior Dos Santos. Alistair Overeem was suspended for high testosterone levels. I'm shocked. Instead, Velasquez faced Antonio Bigfoot Silva, defeating him by technical knockout in the first round in a fight where Silva bled brutally from his forehead. Cain finally got his rematch against Junior Dos Santos at UFC 155. The fight turned into a war. One that Cain completely dominated, winning by unanimous decision to reclaim the UFC heavyweight title. In addition, Velasquez became the first fighter in UFC history to achieve this. 3 digits in significant strikes and 2 digits in takedowns in a single fight, with 111 significant strikes and 11 takedowns.
The unity is God.
In his first title defense, Velasquez faced Antonio Vic Silva in a rematch at UFC 160, a rematch he won by technical knockout in the first round. The trilogy finale with Junior dos Santos took place at UFC 166 in 2013 after another war. Velasquez won by technical knockout at 3 minutes 9 seconds of the 5th round, thus successfully defending his title. On April 29, 2014, UFC selected Velasquez and Fabricio Verdum as coaches for the inaugural season of The Ultimate Fighter Latin America. Velasquez and his opponent were set to fight at UFC 180, but Velasquez pulled out due to a torn meniscus. While Cain was recovering, Fabricio claimed the interim title, setting up a unification fight in 2015 at the UFC 188, 2 rounds in which both landed hard blows. A clearly exhausted Cain went for a double leg, in which Verdum managed to lock in a perfect guillotine, thus losing the fight and the title. Velasquez would later admit that he hadn't prepared properly for the fight. The fight happened in Mexico City at an altitude of 7,300 feet. He claimed to have moved his camp to higher ground just 2 weeks prior to the fight, facing Verdum, who had spent more than a month in Mexico City to get used to the higher altitude. I believe that in any competition, the winner is the winner and the loser is the loser. A rematch against Verdum was expected on February 6, 2016, but both fighters withdrew, citing injuries. Velasquez finally faced Travis Browne at UFC 200, winning the fight by technical knockout in the last seconds of the first round. The rematch against Verdum was rescheduled for December 30, 2016 at UFC 207. However, the Nevada State Athletic Commission did not approve Velasquez's fight, as after physical examinations, they determined he was not fit to compete due to bone spurs in his back.
And the story could end here.
But it continues, because years later, as the first fight of his new 4-fight contract, Velasquez headlined the inaugural UFC Entertainment and Sports Programming Network event against Francis Ngannou and lost the fight by knockout in less than 30 seconds. On October 11, 2019, after his first appearance in WWE, he announced his retirement from mixed martial arts. With a final record of 14 wins, 3 losses in pure victories, he shares a spot with the great Don Frye, whose story I leave here for you. Since then, he has pursued a career in professional wrestling. As you know, everything is scripted, so I won't summarize it. Sadly, the story didn't end there. It continued on February 28, 2022. Velasquez allegedly shot a man in Santa Clara County, California.
We are outside the Santa Clara County Jail. Cain Velasquez was booked after his arrest yesterday afternoon. He discharged a firearm at another person who sustained gunshot wounds. The man whom
Velasquez shot, Harry G. Jr., had been arrested before the shooting for allegedly committing acts of child sexual abuse at a daycare attended by one of Velasquez's young family members. Terrible idea, my friend. Later, Harry was released from custody. Trust? Then, an armed Velasquez chased the vehicle in which G. Jr. and his stepfather were traveling. He rammed the vehicle, pulled out his firearm, and fired through the window, but he missed and instead hit the stepfather. Although the injuries were not life-threatening, Velasquez was later arrested and jailed on a charge of first-degree attempted murder. Formally charged with this offense, as well as other additional charges, including 1 count of shooting at a motor vehicle, 3 counts of assault with a firearm, 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of intentionally discharging a firearm from a vehicle, and 1 count of carrying a loaded firearm with the intent to commit a felony. Shortly afterward, he was denied bail as a judge determined that the risk of Velasquez causing more trouble to the public was too high. But Cain has received a lot of support from the community. His lawyer submitted 37 letters from Cain's supporters, including Dana White, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Fabricio Verdum, Kevin Gastelum, Henry Cejudo, and Islam Makhachev. Despite this, he faces charges that could lead him to spend a long time in prison. But let me ask you something. If you were in his place, what would you have done? Thanks to everyone, especially the channel's patrons and Lord Patrons. We're nearing the first goal.
see you later.